Yo, what is up, everybody, man? It's Leo and Josh back again with another episode of 713 Football, man. Josh, how are you feeling today, bro?
I'm feeling like it's must win Thursday for the Texans and the Bills are the one that are just gonna have to kind of deal with Mills mania.
Yeah, man, I think this is like, it feels like every game almost for the past few weeks we've been saying it's a big game, but this is the actual like really big game. I mean, we've done our work to get back to 500 and into the hunt, man. And honestly, it feels good that we were resilient enough and that, you see a lot of teams that have defenses that are this good, when their offense is struggling mightily, they kind of just give up. But our team has not given up and we found ways to win, and so now we're sitting here at 5-5 with a great opportunity, man, to finally go above 500 in the first time this season. So against, what people consider a Super Bowl caliber team, and they've had a lot of issues, throughout their defense. The defensive line has been injured. Keon Coleman seems like he has taken steps back at this point, which is unfortunate for him, and their whole offense. But man, I mean, again, this is just a perfect opportunity for the Texans to kind of, be on the national spotlight, which doesn't matter at all, but be in front of the whole nation and kind of just have a real statement game, Josh, man. So what do you think about that, man? And how important is this game to our season, in your opinion?
I mean, it seems like we've done this before, right? We had that stretch of 2 games where we played against lesser opponents, against Baltimore and against Tennessee. Everyone got really excited about it. We won those games like we should have, and then we fell flat against Seattle, right? So this is kind of it again, right? Like obviously this team isn't as good as Seattle, but also Seattle was missing guys in their defense. But now you splinter around to Buffalo. It's a team it's a very winnable game against a damn good quarterback, a damn good offensive line, kind of some of the things where we've seen ourselves play well at times, but also kind of struggle, to kind of balance it out and kind of started off slow against Seattle and different things. So it's our first real test, and can we elevate? Can we be that team that everyone hopes they can be? Will Mills continue to push forward? All the things we'll get into what we think of like offensively and defensively, but this is like a true identity game and the next game that we've seen really turn around and see, all right, is D'Amico, has he been talking a lot? Has all this talk been like warranted about us kind of just find a way to win and we're building on it and all the famous like New England bullshit that everyone hated when Belichick said it, but D'Amico's just kind of spinning around like a win is a win is a win. It's time to show that a win is a win is a win because this is going to be tough on Thursday night at home, a game that we have to win if we want to be taken seriously the rest of the year.
Yeah, I 100% agree, man. I feel like this is a great opportunity for us to, just come out and just, like you said, just show the world that like we're actually serious, man. Especially with the backup quarterback. I feel like if you win this game, I mean, all is forgiven with how crazy the season was to start. And it's an important game. I mean, at this point, we have to win as many of these AFC games as we can, right? So to me, it's just all around important, man. So Josh, man, let's talk about it. Ed Oliver is out. um, I mean, how big of a blow is that for their defense? And do you think that we'll be able to take advantage of their D line with him being out?
It's massive. I mean, he was the one true difference maker. Like, I mean, people can say what they want about Joey Bosa, right? He's been fine. They do their basic kind of thing. They don't like blitzing a ton. So their idea of having Ed Oliver in the middle to really pressure things and keep them in those 4 or less rusher situations where they can kind of keep everything in front of them is what they want to do. And now without Ed Oliver, the entire pass rush is built around Russo and it's built around Bosa and it's built around just a lot of smoke and mirrors at this point. And now they lost Landon Jackson for the year as well, who's another like kind of upside player that they drafted. Epinessa's kind of a mid pass rusher at best, right? So they're just kind of in a really weird spot where they're the definition of bend don't break, except they don't really have that ability to really force those turnovers unless the quarterback or unless the offense really kind of turns around and starts making those mistakes.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think Ed Oliver being out is a big deal. And their defense hasn't been the same as it has been in previous years, which I think bodes well for us. There's a lot of talk about, what Harrison is going to do to Nico on Twitter. And I just don't really see that being an issue. I mean, I kind of feel like this is about as even a matchup as it's gonna be. And I think that like you said, they don't have an elite pass rusher anywhere on their D line. You know what I mean? So to me, or even like a real like superior like run stopping force. Right now, we have been unable to run the football consistently pretty much throughout the year. We really struggled against Tennessee. Looking back at the game, man, it's funny, like being there, I couldn't really tell that we were running the ball as inefficiently as we were because I was sitting in the end zone. So, the distance, the ability to tell distance is a little bit,
Yeah, yeah, depth perception was all off.
but like it seemed like at times we were getting some good runs, but they did stop it, also. But again, like they don't have a Simmons on this team, they don't have a Sweat on this team. So it wouldn't shock me if we're able to like have a decent, I don't want to say we're gonna go like 300 yards on the ground, go for some crazy record, but it wouldn't be surprising to me if we hit like 80 to 100 yards this game, which I think will bode well for Davis Mills, who does well when we run the football good. You know what I mean? So I think, and I feel also it'll give us some opportunities to take some shots to Nico, and play action, Noel, and Kirk, and all the receivers and weapons, man. So Josh, man, let's talk about this. I think on our defense versus their offense. Obviously, their line is highly touted, but our edge rushers, we've seen our edge rushers take over games. And it doesn't matter who the other team has at tackle. Do you think that Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter will be able to dominate this game?
Yeah, they damn well should be able to, as long as we can force them out of run situations, right? If we can stop a few run plays, it's gonna be you're gonna allow that dynamic duo to kind of really go off and kind of do some really crazy stuff. I'm trying to pull up the stat I got about the duo, but like I mean, look at, they're the only duo right now with at least 40 pressures on the year. They're both top 10. It's crazy as hell. But then you turn around, like what teams are doing against us, right? Because they're gonna run, but they're gonna eventually get in these passing situations. And with them having so many receiving options out, with Kincaid out as a safety blanket, they do have Shakir, but they also have Samuel out. So I think having those guys out on the quick passing game, and we can kind of focus more on Shakir and taking that away, it kind of blanks out the other things, and it'll set up situations where even if they do what teams have been doing, where their teams are chip blocking the hell out of us, right? Anderson is at 67 chip blocks, fifth most in the league. Daniil Hunter's 59 with sixth most, and they're both in the top 10 range, which is kind of crazy to have two guys that teams are having to kind of pick your poison on. Eventually, we should see, and I'm hoping this is one of those games. It's hard because this is a good O-line, but we got to have one of these games where the interior D linemen come out and just ball out, and someone just kind of really shows some impact. Maybe Tim Settle will be excited playing against his old team coming out. But I mean, you got Anderson's quickness. I'm really fascinated though, like a miniature matchup of all this, because they kind of play sides, right? Daniil plays on one, and Will plays on the other. And I think the Hunter versus Dawkins matchup is going to be really fun. Like that kind of like old wily vet. Like Dawkins is a guy who's only allowing 7% of pressure rate against, in seventh best in the league, versus like Hunter, who's absolutely just killing people with a 15.2 pressure rate, sixth highest among players, and he's just absolute, just over and over again. So I think his ability not only do that, but I think his ability in the run game is going to be super important, because they're going to try to run behind Dawkins. They're going to move it. They're just, Joe Brady's so creative about the run game. How consistent are we going to be? And do we have a fast start? Unlike what we did against Seattle last time we played a quality offense, where we were able to not really withhold and withstand what they were doing initially. We were able to kind of punch us in the mouth and over. Are we going to come out in a better position this game? Because these linebackers aren't built in a way that's going to be able to handle that offensive line if they start getting that forward tilt. And unlike other teams, like, and we both said this, and I'm curious your opinion, but like, when we saw that Seattle game, we both called each other, and we're like, man, why did they stop running the ball? Like, they were, even though they were doing all that, they kind of eased back on the run game a little bit, even though it was working so well. I think Joe Brady's even more aggressive with the run game, where if it starts working early, you're going to see it early and often throughout the game, and we're not going to have a chance to catch our breath like they gave us when Cooper Kupp in that Seattle game threw that pick and kind of flipped the game around a little bit and gave us kind of a chance to kind of settle in defensively. So I'm fascinated to see. It's really bare knuckle brawl. Like, thankfully this game's at home, because I think playing in Buffalo would be much more worrisome. but I'm really fascinated to see how our speed on the edges kind of handles their run game and their quarterback run game and everything that kind of is folded into that.
Yeah, well, you brought up a good point about like trying to sell out to stop the run, and I think we play some of the most heavy boxes in the league. I think we play some of the most stacked boxes in the NFL. I haven't looked at it in a couple weeks because, like I said, I was traveling this week. I wasn't on my computer, but we definitely were like top 3 last time I checked. Right, so I think that this is a game, especially with who are their outside receivers that are really worth a damn right now. I think outside of Shakir, who's a slot guy, Dalton Kincaid isn't playing. I think this is a game that you really just man up the outside corners, play single high, and just kind of just make control the line of scrimmage and play super, super aggressive, man. And I think that if Josh Allen is able to beat us with Curtis Samuel, outside or whoever they throw outside. I mean, I can't really tell you any one of their receivers that really like put fear in me outside against our corners, right? So to me, I just feel like this is a game where we kind of play how D'Amico especially was when he first got here with all the cover 3, all the, single high safeties, man, and just dare them to take those shots because I think that, it takes more than an elite quarterback to it takes more than an elite quarterback to complete passes, especially deep down the field. The receivers have to make plays, so I think that's a great point. Let's see
Yeah,
what this
yeah, and
copy is.
while you're bringing that up, like one interesting thing is it plays into what we've done since Petrie went out, right? Since Petrie's gone out, we played a like 50% base, 52% base in that week 10, and then since then it's been 42% base. So we've completely reinvented our defense on the fly, playing more EJ speed out there, and I think that plays in with them having those receivers out. We don't really have that threat. I think Keon Coleman's also going to be a healthy scratch from something I heard. So like they just really are limited outside, and we're able to really condense it and turn it into that bare knuckle. And we don't have any excuses, right? We got no excuses. We know what they're gonna do. We know how we're gonna play it. We've got to make tackles. That's the biggest thing of this game for me.
All right, so yeah, Rooney says, "Hey guys, tonight will be a Will Anderson Jr. legacy game." I mean, I think this is the type of game that it should happen in. I mean, like this is a big game, you know. If you win this game, you got the Colts coming in. I can't remember if we play the Colts at home first, but um, I mean, it sets you up in perfect position to not necessarily knock the Colts off. I don't know how much, mathematically possible it is for us to win the division, but if you could stack 2 AFC, wins against 2 playoff teams back to back, I mean, I feel like that'll be great for us, especially I think we got KC coming up soon, and they've been losing. I think they're 5-5 as well. So like all these games really matter. I mean, especially against anyone that we have a chance with flipping positions with. And I'll say this too, like even like I just said, is I don't know how mathematically possible it is, but the Colts game next week too. So I think at this point, man, if like Will Anderson has been great, he's been an elite player, but I think that there's some games where they just mean a little bit more, and I think that if let's say he has like 2 or 3 sacks in this game, I feel like, man, you start talking about like all pro type shit. You know what I mean? Because I can't remember off top how many sacks he has right now, but I just feel like this is the type of game where you need to have those big performances in that really like stack your name up. So yeah, 100% appreciate you, Rooney, for the comment. Yeah. So the captain says now what y'all play in tonight. I think he will have a big game. Yeah, man. I think we're gonna need him because apparently Damian Pierce isn't on the team anymore, which I guess really didn't have any bearing on that anyway. But yeah, man. I mean, anything to help Davis Mills out would be definitely needed here. You know what I mean? So Nick Chubb, I mean, what's funny is also I think he averaged more yards per carry than Woody Marks last week. So, you know.
Yeah, Yeah, it's gonna be the body blow kind of game where we just got to get 2 or 3 yards. I was listening to Drew Brees the other day talk about it. It's like people have this idea that like a consistent run game is like 4 or 5 yards a carry. No, it's like if you're getting 3 yards, staying just enough ahead where you can then have a consistent pass game. That's kind of what we're looking at. That's what Mills has been doing. How we have to set up is, man, like he's been a different guy when that ball's coming out quick versus holding on to it. And the only way you're going to get that ball out quickly is by getting condensed, simpler looks with the run game and forcing teams to kind of come up. And because our offensive, the way we're running shit right now with the scheme, it's working because Mills is making great throws under pressure at times. But man, there's not a lot of easy stuff out there consistently, especially early in the games. It seems like he's been able to figure that shit out later in games when he's made these runs the last couple of games. But man, I'm excited to see how that kind of, if that can continue, and how does that affect our ability to kind of continue this resurgence we've seen with Nico Collins specifically, and how he's kind of refound himself moving forward and kind of exploded a little bit in the last couple of weeks.
Are there any players that you think will be an X factor for us, when it comes to winning this game that might be a little bit off the radar?
Yeah, for me, the no Jalen Petrie. I think what you right away you look at is one obviously Aziz, but I think the more in the kind of down in the cut kind of player is EJ Speed in this game, right? That long athletic guy that you can spy Josh Allen. We just saw Josh Allen run for 3 freaking touchdowns against the Bucks, who are really disciplined, good football team on defense, kind of keep everything in front of them the way they do. We have to kind of manufacture and see, all right, how are we going to stay in front of them without giving up easy throws, without taking guys out of coverage looks and stuff. I think how much zone we play is going to play into that, and that inherently we're going to have eyes on Allen. But, man, them having so many guys missing a receiver, I think that's going to be important. Offensively, man, Schultz has been so damn important. But, man, I think this is a game where they're going to finally decide to use. I may be stupid. I may be just screaming at the clouds at this point, but they're finally going to use Jalen Noel in this game consistently, and they're going to really attack with him because I just think he can create so many easier looks. He's the one guy who's like an easy separator outside of Nico, because I have a feeling McDermott's going to come out with a really good plan, and they're going to find ways they're going to like bracket him damn near every play, and say beat us with something else. And if it's not Schultz, I think Noel this is a game where he should be able to come out and really have an impact in the game, assuming that Kaylee kind of puts the time in and energy in to really get him the ball. But that's always a kind of a big assumption.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at his snap count and his, target share and all that, it's really sad that he hasn't gotten as many touches and targets and all that stuff as, you would like. And it's honestly borderline malpractice. And honestly, without getting too deep into this, that's kind of why, I was worried about the whole OC firing and hiring and all this stuff. It's like stuff like that. I think, how do I say this? Like stuff like that kind of sometimes I feel like people can be so down on one thing that they just, completely ignore how much worse it could get. And I think that honestly, I don't feel like this is almost an upgrade, and honestly, damn near anyway. But yeah, I do think that but to move forward, and we're here now, so it doesn't matter. But to move forward, I think Noah is a player that I think can have a big game today if given the opportunity. And also, man, I'll say this too. I think Higgins as well. Higgins can have a big game today as well.
What do you think about? What do you think? Oh, sorry. Keep going.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what do you think? The more and more I see how they play and they keep everything in front, I think it's a big Marks game too. What do you think? Like, I think his yak ability is going to be something that we have to manufacture shit off of.
Yeah, I mean, and here's another thing too that like, one positive I could say about Kaylee is that he's willing to like put the ball in the quarterback's hands, for better or for worse, however you look at it. Like, I think that, so if we really struggling running the football, I think that, yeah, I can see this as a game as like Mark's getting like 5, 6, 7 targets, right? Not even just talking about screens. I'm talking about legit targets or like, almost check down type throws and make a couple guys miss. Like how the Patriots use James White. I think that, but regardless, man, I think between Noel and Marks, I feel like both of those guys are guys that can work in that short area type. Obviously, Noel has like extreme explosiveness, but I'm just saying where he plays in the slot, you would think,
Yeah, they have
he's a
that
guy.
twitchiness that can kind
Yeah,
of create that easy
he's a guy that could
separation.
get
Yeah.
get the ball, get the ball quickly and make a play, which I think with how our offensive line, as our offensive line, in my opinion, in pass protection hasn't been as bad as a lot of people have made it out to be. But at the same time, it's like they have lost quickly at times, and I think that getting the ball out to either one of those guys is a huge puts your offense at a huge advantage, and staying ahead of the chains. I think staying ahead of the chains with a backup quarterback, especially any quarterback, but when you have this type of defense, just stay ahead of the chains, convert, those third and shorts, man, and keep your defense off the field. Like, I'll say this too. I mean, I don't even know if this was in the notes at all, but how are you feeling about going for it on fourth down in the red zone? I feel like it hasn't really worked out to as much as you would think, right? I think this is a game where, I understand being aggressive, but with how this defense is playing, I kind of feel like we should just take all the points we could get. You know what I mean? Unless we actually need the touchdown, right? What do you think about that?
I'm completely on par with you there. I completely agree. I think it's especially in a situation where you don't have this consistency and continuity on the offensive line. I think it's better. It's like you said, a lot better than you've talked about. But when you don't have that baseline there and you don't have a consistency of like your go to plays, like there's not that bread and butter we're used to. Like we started to see it with Nico, and I hope for damn sure that Kaylee comes out and is like, we're gonna try every way possible to get Nico the ball. Maybe they'll finally run a Nico screen, which seems to have evaporated from the playbook. Maybe they'll do that against these smaller corners and really force them to tackle. But like, if you're going to go for it on fourth down, you better have a much better play design than what we've seen so far. Like, you can't think you're going to just run right in front of people and just knock them on their ass. I mean, it is interesting. I'm curious what your thoughts are with this. And you mentioned it, like our offensive line, and there's been a lot of turnover and a lot of craziness about it. But I think this plays in that fourth down thing because it's that baseline and backbone of this offense. Like, there's been that turnover, but our interior line is actually, eighth lowest in terms of pressure rate, only 5.9% coming from interior offensive line. So as much as people have freaked out about who's playing there and this and how bad it is, it hasn't been that terrible this year, which is kind of crazy. But the problem is the rush game, it hasn't been as sexy as we wanted. But in general, from the interior side specifically, we're looking inside out because that's kind of when they run a little more that spread defensive front as well. So they try to get some twists and stunts coming inside with rushers and different things, especially when Mills not being athletic. You can catch them, and we've shown that we can, when rushing between the tackles, we've earned a yard before contact on design carries, which is ninth best in the league. So it's actually the numbers, as bad as it has looked as times because of the way CJ's kind of created these really deep sacks, and kind of pause. But like he's just created a lot of crazy shit. There's more concern maybe even at left tackle where Ursery's fallen off. He was at, I could go on for days. Like, he's at 10.4% pressure rate in the last two games. Like, it's been bad. Like, previously he was at 7.1. Maybe he's just kind of just rookie. It's just inconsistencies you'll see. Jake Andrews improved from 9 pressure rate, a 9% pressure rate to a 5 over the last 3 games. Over the last 2 games with only 3 pressures given up. So there's been some solidifying. You kind of have a thing now where you got Trent Brown. It's a lot of different mix-up, but maybe they have that size now where they can really lean on teams with Trent Brown out there. You got Titus, who's a big guard. He may not be the most powerful guy in the run game, but at least he's a big body. You do have those 2 centers, so I'm curious to see whether the identity of the offense in general continues to kind of shift and kind of and move and kind of morph based on what our offensive line matchups are and kind of who we're facing and kind of what Kaylee's quote unquote game plan. I know Leo hates this word, but game plan offense, like what it looks like for this game.
Yeah, I mean, shit. I mean, it's kind of it, it makes you wonder. I think that I kind of feel like we kind of are in a situation where we have the power to kind of choose. I
Mm-hmm.
think that even though like their front is weak, I still think we should try to establish the run. We have to try, what I mean, and see what happens there. Excuse me, I'm sorry, but yeah, man. So I mean, just from there, like we'll see. I think we have to run the ball at least 20 times. We've been getting away with 40 plus pass attempts the past few weeks. I would like to see us, be a little bit more balanced or a lot more balanced. You know what I mean? And really controlling the time of possession. I saw something, and I should have wrote this stat down, but I think we're like top 5. As odd as this is, I think we was like top 5 in the NFL in time of possession, which I know it sounds weird, but that's what I think I saw. What I mean, I should have wrote
Yeah.
it down because it
Well,
just
we've had so many weird games where we've lost and we've still been up like 10 in time of possession because of like
yeah,
weird turnovers and shit.
yeah.
So that's not crazy when you kind of that's interesting.
Well, when you think about it, like you would think a team that wins time of possession like that would just actually be good on offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or
Right.
at least like at least
Yeah.
good on the ground game. But we haven't been. But and I think that shit between that, man, just putting ourselves in positions to be successful on third downs. You know what I mean? That's kind of been the worst part of this offense and the worst part of this run game. So I think, man, just find a way to run the football effectively. Like I said, this is not a team that should just be like impenetrable. And I think that once you do that, I think you'll allow Mills to kind of ease his way into the game to where like you don't have to rely on him to be so perfect on early downs, which is essentially, man, the same game plan for CJ. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I think it's kind of
Yeah.
interchangeable. They're interchangeable at this point to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know that might ruffle some feathers, but to me, I'm not gonna say one is better than the other. But I mean, I will say this. At this point, I can't really tell you who. We don't have to get into that, but it's just it
Yeah.
just kind of seems like we have just guys at quarterback
Right.
right now. So
Right.
I mean, we have to kind of play like it, and just ask them when they have to make a play, they have to make a play. And I think when you have a defense like this, it's kind of how it has to be. This is at bare minimum. Obviously, we all want the top 5 quarterback with this type of defense, but you know guys just have to do their job, on
Yeah.
offense. And it's just literally comes down to as simple as this. Like, can we do our job? And I think that this team is in a good spot to kind of just not have to do too much on offense, man. Let's look at a couple of these comments. Adios, Damian Pierce. Shout out to Brandon. You've been here from the start. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Adios, Damian Pierce. Yeah, I mean, we can talk about that a little bit before we kind of start shutting this down, man. Long live Chubb. And then Leo's going to the game. I'm actually not going to this game. I just kind of want to watch it at home, man. I listen, I've been to the last 2 games, I didn't plan on going to that many games this year, shit. I mean, sometimes it's nice to just, put some food, on the grill, man, and just, relax and watch it at the crib, man. So, but yeah, man. So Damian Pierce is gone, right? He's gone. So let's talk a little bit about this, man, Josh. Like, what do you think would cause them to do this move right now? And what do you think about this?
I think I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I think what's gonna happen is he'll be back on the practice squad like next week or something.
Yeah,
Like I
that's
think
kind of
what
what
it
I
is.
that's kind of what I had slowly started to realize
Yeah.
because they said they cut him for to have a cornerback come in. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that I feel the exact same way.
Yeah. I mean, I think that what it does is it tells you kind of where they see him at this point on the roster. Like they don't view him as a legit option in the run game right now. They've pushed everyone. They've even pushed British Brooks ahead of him in terms of like offensive weapons. And I mean, he would be a nice guy to kind of maybe give a handoff here or there too. But it seems like he's as as much as we talked about him falling down favor and out of favor with Slowick, like he seems like he's not even on the radar with Kaylee. Like he did something. He must have insulted Kaylee's like ancestry or God knows what. Like he said something really serious, you know. I
Yeah.
don't know, but he's gone. I mean, he's at this point, he's a Frank Ross decision, right? About what's going on, you know, and like whether he's on the roster. So it's a special teams decision. It's a bottom of the roster decision, and they thought there's
Yeah.
better options.
We're talking
So
about like running back 4, like 3-4 type shit.
right,
It's
right,
I mean, he had a really good rookie year, and I mean, the scheme change, going to outside zone probably was a lot for him. I think he's someone that probably ran gap. I think he hasn't ran out like a zone based scheme. Shit, I damn near want to say he probably didn't even do that in high school if I remember right. But so he kind of just been through a little bit, and I think that I don't know. I can't tell you what led to the fall off of him other than, our line just being ass, you know,
yeah,
just complete ass.
yeah,
And
maybe
then
a
on
whole
top of that,
year.
as
Yeah,
we go back, and I think about it, all these thoughts are coming back because I mean this was an argument that we had for a while. The whole time was, Damian Pierce versus you remember his sophomore year. It was Damian Pierce versus Singletary, and it kind of seemed like we was obviously a team that was better in 11 personnel. Stroud's rookie year, we were more explosive, yeah, especially at running the ball. It seemed, we were able to take advantage of the light boxes a little bit more against that particular schedule, and in particular, right? And you know, they kept giving Devin Singletary those carries, but they kept giving uh Pierce the carries in heavy situations, which ended up leading him having him run into a lot more heavy boxes. And I kind of feel like that was kind of the beginning of the end of him, man. Honestly, that was he? Did he do the most as he could have with those, in those reps? I don't think so. But I also feel like they didn't really give him the same type of opportunities, and that's the thing about the NFL, right? Like, you know, you don't always get what you deserve, or there's maybe they saw stuff at practice and in the rooms, in the film rooms, that we didn't see. But that was just one main difference that I did see, man. Before we move on, let's talk about this, man. I remember last year when you went on Twitter going off after they beat Buffalo. I mean, dude, like listen, when we played Buffalo last year, the fans on Twitter from the Buffalo side, listen, they
it was
had my
crazy.
page. They had my page. What do you call it?
Banned.
Suspended.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
had
yeah.
my page suspended. They were calling me all type of names, but the second I responded, they want to go and report my page to Elon Musk and them. And honestly, man, we're deep into this, and hopefully y'all give us some super chats because this is about to get demonetized. Like fuck them all, man. Like screw them, bro. Screw their whole team. Fuck Buffalo. And I mean, I'm just tired of it. The bullshit, man. Listen, this is a soft team. You know, uh, I think we should beat them with the backup quarterback. And I'm not really that worried about this game. I think we should win this game. I mean, I I even was thinking on the way home, man, about just Josh Allen. Like the people try to put Josh Allen in this realm. Hell, I mean, listen, I wouldn't take Josh Allen over damn Lamar Jackson, but if you want to take that there, okay, take it. Why is Josh Allen in this realm with Burrow and Mahomes? And I sat back and I thought about it. I was like, when has Josh Allen beat Burrow in the playoffs? He hasn't beat Burrow in the playoffs. Burrow went to Buffalo in the snow and whooped his ass up and down the damn field. You know what I mean? Mahomes, he can't beat Mahomes. That's the whole lore of Buffalo, is that they can't beat Mahomes. So, like, to me, I don't understand. And then back to the Lamar thing. How the hell did Josh Allen get the MVP over Lamar Jackson last year? I mean,
Hey, man.
statistically, Lamar Jackson's regular season last year was up there like one of the best quarterback seasons like we had ever seen. Like 40 plus passing touchdowns, under 5 picks, and damn near like 1,000 yards on the ground. I mean, come on, like what the hell? But whatever, man. Hopefully D'Amico, like last time we played him, D'Amico had a phenomenal plan that made him look like an ordinary and average quarterback, and I expect him to do the same. I mean, Petrie isn't out there, but I expect us to get after him. I expect him. There's no Stephon Diggs running out of that door no more. I mean, shit.
Absolutely.
Where are the weapons at? Where's
Yeah.
So to me, it's like Josh said, you stop the run. If you're able, if we're giving up big plays to Curtis Samuel, and
he's not playing.
Let me just pull up their depth chart, man. Buffalo, I mean, this is how bad their receiving core is. I mean, let's just be real here.
Some dude named Shavers.
Terrell Shavers, like who is that? Like Josh Palmer, Gabe Davis, Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not good, man.
Yeah.
You're going up against an all-pro corner, and then really the best number 2 cornerback, basically. I mean, if you want to say Riley Moss is up there with Lassiter, right? But really like an elite cornerback number 2 corner. So to me, man, like Shavers, like who the hell is this, man?
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
I'm not really worried. Like, I mean, and this is another game too. I mean, like we should look to punish Josh Allen. I mean, I would blitz him the whole damn game. I mean, that's how little I respect their receiving core right now. I would blitz them. I would hit them. And I mean, it's part of the game, right? I would try to knock him out of the game. I hate to say it like that, but it's one of those. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously. We just saw what happened to our quarterback last week, a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
I mean, shit. If you listen, if you knock Josh Allen out of the damn game, then there's a chance that he might not be in for a few weeks. You can't tell me this isn't how NFL teams think at times. I mean, come on, bro. The game is to knock the shit out of the other person's quarterback, man. Fuck
Right.
Fuck it.
I
don't get that might get clipped if we're famous. I would be surprised if this gets clipped because we're not the biggest channel. But if it gets clipped, I feel like whatever. I said it. Sue me. But that's how I feel, honestly, man.
Yeah, I mean that's the deal, bro. What do you think is a game predict like score wise and like this do like final predictions, and we can, unless someone wants to throw a super chat up there, has a question they want, or if someone wants to join as a member. You can always do that. You'll see it under there. Click the join button, send a super chat. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to our channel, send it out there. But for me, I think we're gonna win. I think we're winning 21-17. That's kind of where I'm looking at. Like I think we're finally gonna fix some shit in the red zone. I think it's all gonna be about Nico Collins and finding creative ways to get him the ball in the red zone, and just literally 3 straight plays of Nico Collins. That's literally got to be the red zone offense until they can show they can beat you, because that's the only guy right now that we can consistently win one-on-ones, and that's what matters in the red zone. Davis Mills has shown you he can get the ball to Nico. Like, if also running the ball, if there's some creative ways, maybe Kaylee can figure that out. I think we run a ton of heavy sets. Like, I think we've played at like top level. It's funny. It's like the battle of the two teams that seem to run the most 6+ offensive lineman sets, and we're gonna have that with Fisher coming in. We run at 13.9% of plays this season. We've used jumbo, which is kind of crazy. Second highest in the NFL. I'm sure Buffalo is up there, if not number one of the top 3 or 4. So we use Fisher as that. He's kind of settled into that weapon and kind of continued his development as that extra player. And the thing is, like, it's not a big secret what we do. When we do that shit, it's 74% of the run, but we're being efficient. 10th best running out of that with 3.6 yards per carry when we're doing that. So it's not like we're just doing it just for shits and giggles out there. I think, is this a situation where Kaylee can finally do that, consistently knock him in the face? I think he can do it as long as Woody Marks keeps getting the ball over and over again and Chubb is in there to beat him up. It's going to finally set it up. We're going to start seeing those Nico deep balls because they love to sit in that too high shit. The play action can suck them up, make them hesitate. They got that old man Jordan Poyer up there who's got no business being out there at this point with his body the way it is and how old he was on the street for a while. They got Tre'Davious White out there. I love the man. He's from LSU. Massive amount of respect to him, but he's old and he should not be out there with Nico Collins at this point. Nico should be able to run by him. Jalen Knowles should be able to run by him. Higgins should be able to jump over these dudes and catch on these dudes. We got little Harrison is a bad dude as a rookie, but rookies, they get a little frisky sometimes and they try to jump stuff and get fascinated. But yeah, for me, 21-17 Texans all day. That's kind of where I'm looking at it. And I think this has to be a 21-17 game. This can't be a shootout. I could even see less. This could be like a 17-13 game or something. Get real ugly with it because you said this, Leo, and I just think I feel it deep in my bones that DeMeco's defense is perfectly built for Josh Allen, especially when he doesn't have anything on the outside. Because he's not a guy that's super explosive running. He's going to try to run through you. We have trouble with guys that are like quick and like we take bad angles. There's no angles to take on Josh Allen. You see ball, hit ball. Aziz is going to knock his own head off trying to tackle him, which is fine. Like, if he wants to do that, that's cool. EJ Speed, Henry To'oTo'o is fine with tackling as long as he can see that and go downhill. They don't have a lot of wiggle on their offense outside of Shakir and James Cook right now, and I'm sure they're coming out with a good plan for that. So you make tackles, you hit the quarterback. I mean, there's so many Greg Williams quotes I could throw out there. 21-17 all day. What's your prediction?
Yeah, I'm thinking like 13-17. I think I don't think they score 15 on this, man. I think this is a really prideful defense, and DeMeco kind of instilled that from the beginning. You know what I mean? You go back and you think about like all the post-game speeches where you knew that the offense played badly and he went in on the defense. You know what I mean? He basically said if they score, like, we're not supposed to give up a point. So I think that, in hindsight, at the time it's really annoying to hear that. But like now, when we look at the I guess when the whole defense comes into fruition and you see this is like the number one defense in the NFL, you remember those conversations that he had like that, right? And I think that, so I think that this is going to be a statement game. I think that this is going to be one of those games where like it's going to solidify us as the top defense in the NFL, like bar none. Because like I'll say this before we close down. Remember, man, the way the Texans became the number one defense scoring wise, it was really odd. They were top 3, top 4, I believe, after the first couple weeks or first 3 weeks, right? I think we basically held all 3 of those teams under like right or under 20 points, and then we went on a stretch where we played Buffalo. I mean, not Buffalo. We played Baltimore, and then we played the Titans, and we basically held them basically scoreless, right? I think Baltimore got 10 maybe, and then Tennessee got 0, and then from there we've been pretty much lights out, But those 2 games pretty much were the games that solidified us as the number one scoring defense. And we haven't played a national game since then, and we really haven't played a really, really good offense since then, or any team that really it was relevant to me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, Other than Seattle, right?
Well, Seattle, yeah. I don't know where Seattle ranks as offense, but whatever.
Yeah. In terms of efficiency, yeah. I mean, that's a good question. Like, how do you?
But I think that this is the game.
Go ahead.
This is the game where they really plant that flag. As bad as the Bills have been, they still have this elite quarterback and all that. And if you really do it to him again, and you prove that last time we played him when he was 9 for 30, and we, they had him play through a concussion that we all saw. And it was his worst game pretty much of his career that I could remember, right? Like, you could prove that was real. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that this is a game where we see it. We see it again, bro. So, man. I'm going 17-13.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. I agree. I think that's the kind of range I see, either 21-17 or 17-13. That's in that range. One score here, one score there. I think you made a great point, and the last thing I'll say is, like, it's time. Like, people have talked up Matt Burke as this great defensive mind that's taken over, and he's sequencing plays great, and he's looked good against bad teams. But, man, the last time he came out against a good team, that Seattle shit was not acceptable with how they came out against JSN. So, like, all right, speed it forward. What the hell is the plan against Shakir? What the hell is the plan against that run game? They didn't do it last time against Seattle. That's the last quality team that we've played. Ever since then, it's like Jacksonville with 0 receivers healthy. Tennessee is with God knows what they had out there. Across the board, like we haven't seen him kind of have to step up yet this year as a defense since they've hand off controls to Burke. I know D'Amico's still involved and it's still his defense, but let's kind of see it's time to kind of establish that nastiness. I love his vibe on the sideline. I think it's great. It's energizing. And also, I hope fans get there early, man. Like as hard as it is to get, I hope they get there early or loud. They get Josh Allen's ears ringing. It's primetime Houston. It's going to be a freaking title fight out there. We're going for David versus Goliath with the backup quarterback against everyone against the official MVP, even though he wasn't our MVP. Like I'm excited, man. I think it's going to be a knockdown, drag out, ugly. Like people are going to be limping off. I don't hope anyone gets hurt, but that's just the way Thursday night goes, right? Like it's amazing that these guys are able to get out there and play. But I'm excited, man. I think we both have Texans winning, and I can't wait to see how this game plays out.
Hell yeah, man. So hey, listen, man, make sure y'all like, sub, and share. We're gonna go live soon again, man. It might not be tonight, but we will do a post game. And make sure y'all like, sub, and share, bro. We got more shit coming for y'all. 713 football, man. We're out. Peace, y'all.